Hello, viewers. Welcome to Oweleketv on this beautiful day. It is outnumbered live on your screen. Of course, I know a lot of people long for this time because it is one of the programs that help you set the pace for the day, bringing you detailed informations from the headlines and also the big story where you get to know what is happening around. My name is Ramsey Enoch, and I have, as usual, in the studio today, Rachel Abuye.
Good morning, Ramsey.
Good morning, Rachel. And I also have Michael Edikan.
Good morning, Ramsey.
Good morning, Michael. All right, straight up, let's take you to the papers that we have for today. Just a few out of the numerous papers, but then we will try as much as possible to bring you to speed with very, very vital informations. And we will want to start with the Nation's newspaper. From the Nation's newspaper this morning, we have these headlines. And the first one said, the central bank breached loan limit regulation. And there's just one rider to that story, which says, recapitalization will aid $1 trillion economic target. That's just the rider that we have to that story. And we still have another second story from the Nations here, which says, EFCC now to be touchlight on cancers. All right. You can find the details of that on page 5 of the Nation's newspaper. And the third story, which is the big story actually from the Nation's newspaper, says, no price is too much to pay for peace in Rivers. Who is saying this? Fubara, of course, the governor of Rivers State. You are aware of what just happened. And it's such that some persons don't really believe in the peace deal, and for the fact that the president came into the situation, some persons are not really okay with that. But Fubara says, well, there is no price too much to pay as far as peace is concerned. I think there is something fishy that we don't know yet, but then nothing can be hidden for too long. No matter what, we'll get to know whatever it is. And just one rider to that story, which says a PDP clerk reject peace term. PDP, the People's Democratic Party, and an elder statesman in Rivers State talking about Edwin Clark have rejected the peace terms. And of course, that's going to be the last that I'll be taking from the Nation's newspaper. Let's bring you to speed with other headlines as I hand you over to Rachel.
Okay, so on the Punch newspaper this morning, as regards Rivers State, says PDP clerk faults Tinubu's peace deal. APC slams opposition. You can find that on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Still on the Punch, domestic borrowing jumps by 134%, rises to 52 trillion naira. You can find that on page 3 of the Punch newspaper. Still on the Punch, says, don't depend on Villa for feedback. Fire me advises Tinubu. Don't depend on Villa for feedback. Tinubu is getting so much advice these days. Yesterday it was from Fashola, today it's from Fire me. Okay, so the big story on Punch says, NLC warns federal government of mass protest again. Banks caught withdrawers. This is as regards the cash crunch that's going on in Nigeria right now. Under our story, says CBN fresh disbursement fails to reach banks. Southwest Bank source cash from northern branches. Nigerians running out of patience, can't bear current pains. Labour tells Tinubu government and CBN. So this is the last story I'll be taking this morning.
Okay, from the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, has it as a big story. Tinubu's intervention, breach of constitutions. These are coming from SANS. Say political solutions can override law. President actions insult to Rivers people. That's from Clark. Who will sacrifice for peace? Coming from the governor of Fubara. PDP rejects the troops, insists on fresh polls. Protests in Port Harcourt over the troops. That is a story. That's a big story from the Daily Trust newspaper. It also adds that Hill held 14 years after Keredolu's call for Yar'Adua's resignations haunt him. I think we should always be careful of what we tweet or what we write. It has a way of coming back to face us. Corridor also called for Yar'Addua's resignation during his health challenge. And now, 14 years after, he's backfiring to him. All right, the next story is a traditional ruler, pregnant wife, 15 others abducted in Taraba. Issues of insecurity, you can find that on page 8 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Now, scarcity NLC warns federal government, says CBN inciting Nigerians. We're still having issues of lack of cash. And of course, the NLC are saying this is inciting Nigerians. It's not just about NLC. All of us are saying that this is getting another provocation. And of course, CBN must do something about it for banks to circulate cash, especially this period that we're going to. That's how much I'm taking on the Daily Trust newspaper.
All right, thank you very much, Michael, for those details. Let's quickly move to the next paper, which is The Guardian. And from The Guardian, directly below the header, we have one story, which is actually the big story from The Guardian newspaper. That story says, despite 9.56 trillion naira allocation, local government areas still underdeveloped. You can see how much is being pumped out, but then it is still underdeveloped. So where did this money go to? That's the question that Nigerians are asking today. Then I also have this second story. All right. The second story is coming from Falano. Falano says the deal by Tinubu is not accepted. And it's not just Falano, Clark also, that what is happening in Rivers State, they are not accepting it. So Falano, Clark, Rivers elders slammed Tinubu's unconstitutional peace deal. Details of that you can actually find on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. It's so obvious that a lot of Nigerians are not in terms with the deal. How did it happen? What's happening? What's playing out? You know, I think there is some form of pali-pali here. The reason why they may be saying this is because of the aftermath of all of this. You may not see it now, but then later on, something may happen. The next story says NLC flays federal government over cash scarcity, seek liquidity to meet demands. You can get the details of that on page 3. And then, of course, Tinubu, tell Tinubu the truth, not what he hears in the villa. Fayemi is the one saying this. Advise him, Ganduje. All right. Fayemi now is telling Ganduje, please advise your boss. It is not exactly what he may be hearing. And you know what praise singers do, especially when they want to get something from you. They tend to say a whole lot. And if you're not careful, you'll be deceived. And finally, from the Guardian newspaper, I have this story which says telecoms may lose subscribers as NCC order total bar of unlinked SIMs. Well, we've heard so much about this. I don't know. These SIMs that have been linked already, we still have crimes everywhere. And these people are not being trapped. Bandits, they use phone call, they make phone calls. People who adopt other citizens, the kidnappers, they make calls to ask for ransom and they are not being trapped, despite the fact that these SIMs are being linked or something, are being registered. So I don't know where all of this is coming from. NCC needs to do more. And that's the size of the headlines for this morning. We'll go on a quick break. When we return again, we'll bring you to speed with the big story, which is really big. You can't afford to miss it. So just stay very close to your screen. It's still Ramsey, Rachel, and Michael. We will be back.
Follow us on our social media handles at Oweleketv. Visit our website at www.oweleket.tv for a thrilling journey. Oweleketv, rising star at the fairground.
Welcome back. It is still outnumbered live on your screen, and now it's that time when we bring you to speed with the big story. I told you this story is really big. You know why? Because it has to do with everyone in this country. As a matter of fact, NLC from the Punch newspaper, I think Rachel took that story when she was talking about NLC warning the federal government on mass protests again. And of course, the fact that banks cut withdrawals, especially in times like this, it calls for a whole lot. So that's going to be the big story for today from the Punch newspaper. NLC wants federal government of mass protests again. Banks caught withdrawals. We're talking about protests. You can see in that paper, it has it again, meaning it's been happening and another one about to happen. But then, so many times we hear of strike actions and we hear of going to the round table. We hear of meetings behind closed doors. All right. And at the end of the day, we don't get to hear any other thing than, okay, the strike has been suspended. Why is it being suspended? The reason why you went on that strike, has the problem been solved? Why suspending the strike? Now they are warning. In fact, as it is right now, Nigerians are becoming used to NLC strike. I think NLC is not as strong as it used to be. In the times of Adams Oshomole, if they said NLC is going on strike, the federal government jilted us. A lot of people, get ready and said, well, it's about to happen again. But this time, you hear people saying, I don't know what's happening in this Ajero's time. There is yet another warning. Well, please, let's get this straight. NLC going on strike, we are not saying it's wrong. All right? But then, the aftermath of it, we keep having strike, warnings upon warnings, strikes upon strikes. But what about the outcome? What are we having at the end of the day? Is it that something is exchanging hands and someone is succumbing? That's one of the questions that Nigerians are asking. Then, if anything must happen at all, I want to speak to the banks. And the writer to this story says banks are going to get cash from other banks in the north. And when I heard that, I was like, hey, what's happening? What's the difference? What makes the banks in the north superior to other banks? Why is the cash available to banks in the north and not to the banks in the south, the southwest, and the western part and the eastern parts of the country? Why all of this? These are some of the things we will be looking at this morning. So looking at this whole situation, Rachel, what do you think? Remember the time we are in, and remember Ajero's case. He was beaten. You know why he was beaten. I don't need to tell you that. Now, another warning for strike. Is this exactly what we need at this very particular point in time?
Okay, so to begin with, I think going for strike or protest, mass protests like the threatened, is not a new thing in Nigeria. In fact, it's now a norm. When anything goes wrong, we come out to protest. It's like something we enjoy doing. Even though protest is one of those things that, people do so they can get the positive reactions from the government. But in Nigeria, the case is different. When you go out for protest, it's just like you're going out, you just enjoy going out to protest. And another thing is NLC coming out to say they want to go on strike, threatening the government. They always say this, we'll go on strike, and then they come out. It's not even about NLC now. The leaders, they'll always say, we want to go on strike. And people will come out. NLC members, they come out en masse, they come out for this protest. They are always obeying. Mm-hmm. But it is these leaders now, after they go for closed-door meetings with the government, they go for a meeting with the president, the next thing you're hearing is, okay, they calm down. No more protests. Yes, we'll suspend it. 3 weeks. Yes, sometimes 7 days. Yes, sometimes 7 days, and you don't hear anything again. So it's not about coming out to threaten the government. We already know how this will end. They may come out, tomorrow and say, oh yes, they may be you see them on the street protesting, and then the next thing you see on the papers, presidency calls NLC leaders for closed-door meeting, and then the next thing you hear NLC leaders coming out to say, okay, it has been suspended. And so it continues like that. And I was reading something, it says NLC leader is questioning the government now whether the ordinary citizens should suffer due to the government's apparent incompetence in prosecuting the anti-corruption war, or whether there is there's no anti-corruption war taking place. Now, those are two questions. And I think we already have the answer to that question. We already know there is no anti-corruption war taking place anywhere. We always hear the government is fighting corruption, the government is fighting corruption. There is no anti-corruption war going on anywhere. Any anti-corruption war going on is going on in their pockets. We hear, oh, they've
see, I'm not trying. Just in a minute, you just draw my attention to something. Do we still have ICPC? Are they still operational, or they've been taken over by the government?
Of course we do. We have them. They're the government. Do we have any independent body in Nigeria again? Any independent body that the government appoints its leaders? I no longer see them as independent. Now, all of these people, okay, they are here to fight corruption. They are here to. Yes, we hear that they've seized so money from this person. We hear that they drag this person to court. And when they take people to court, the next thing you see it, for some weeks, months, to go on and on, they're dragging this person, and the next thing, everything goes down, nothing again. So you see all these issues going on. NLC telling the government, are they fighting corruption? The people are the ones suffering it because now there's no money. Christmas is coming. We know all of these things, and we know how it will end. And NLC leaders, we already know how this whole story will end. Tomorrow, yes, we may see you on the streets. Kudos. And next tomorrow, what will happen? The government will call you.
Get off the streets.
And after then, we don't know what happens, behind the camera. And after then again, what happens? Suspended. So it's when I saw the story, it's just a normal usual story.
It's looking like a game now.
It's the normal usual story.
But don't you think it will be dangerous if Nigerians get used to this and no one, because the NLC, it's Nigeria Labour Congress. That is a conglomeration of workers, all right, in Nigeria. That is the body that fights for the right of workers.
They're actually fighting for the right.
That's the question. So, Michael, let me come to you now. NLC, you know what NLC stands for. And you've been following the antecedents of NLC before this present administration. So, as it is right now, don't you think it will be dangerous for the people to lose hope completely in NLC? And NLC now, okay, she says something. Do we still have people who are really not compromising? All right? Do we have people? Because some people say even EFCC, ICPC, like she said just now, everyone is compromising because it's more like a wee thing. What would you have to say? Is NLC trying to fall into that space also, like the other bodies?
Yeah, to me, NLC again, this time around, due to lack of cash by the central bank, and of course, they are trying to warn the federal government of a mass protest. We've seen that we're in a climb where, the leaders do not even have a feel of whatever they do. We've seen doctors go on strike or even threatening to go on strike, but nothing has still happened to our health sector. There's no change. You see, trade union, all of this union, ASU. It's just of recent that, ASU problem have been put to rest regarding the IPPIs and all of that. So, the government are not really after what you want or after what you are telling them to do. They do what they want to do. So it's sad because the other day we were talking about our institution. NLC is not even a Nigerian institution. It's a body. It's an association of rightful workers of Nigeria. These are people that do not want to be scared of government. They are covered by the law. They are not appointed. They were not given appointment on the president that just came into office. They have been there before even the president that is in office now. So they have been workers for about 20 years, 15 years, and all of that. So these are the people that have the right to protect, not just their workers, but even to the welfareism of Nigerians. So issue of minimum wage have been put to rest. Money circulate from workers, Ramson. If those workers are not being paid, there's not how money can be circulated in Nigeria. Our workers paid by the federal government are because of the way, money circulate. And when these people are not being paid well, when the minimum wage are not going well, everything affects. So back to the protest on the CBN. The Central Bank of Nigeria knows what to do about this cash issue. Like, do we even need the NLC to start going on protest again? Do they have to leave our classroom? Do they have to leave our offices? Do they need to even do all this thing for the CBN to start releasing cash? What is the explanation again? Nigerians have suffered this issue of cash over and over again. So why are we still having this issue? So I think it's away from the NLC protest. The protest will still get to affect Nigeria one way or the other, because that's, to me, the government will see, the CBN knows what to do. The CBN government knows what to do. So it's high time that people just get to do the right thing. When you have conscience of doing the right thing, then there will be no point of anybody trying to police you to take decisions or for you to do. So the protest is as good as nothing, if you ask me.
The protest is as good as nothing. And Richard said, well, it's like there is a compromise somewhere. And it is just like a jamboree. People are already used to the situation. It's more like a game now. When you hear of NLC strike, what comes to your mind is they don't come again. Well, this is going to be the size of the big story today on Outnumbered. But then you just need to know that the Yuletide is here. You don't need to kill yourself over anything. Do the little you can, all right? Because protest or no protest, at the end of the day, the people at the grassroots, the common Nigerians, suffer. NLC will go behind closed doors and they will come out with something different. So you need to be very, very careful. Use your teeth to count, use your tongue, rather, to count your teeth. Thank you very much for staying with us on Outnumbered today. Have a beautiful day. But then, Rachel, Yuletide is here. What would you have to say tonight? Remember, today is 20th.
Yeah.
We're counting days already.
We have just 5 days to
Just
Christmas.
5 days. Oh,
Yeah.
you can see the way people are
So
rushing on the street right now.
The chicken, you've seen chickens in the market, they are not reducing. Anyway, so this is me saying Merry Christmas in advance. And to NLC members, please use your head.
Use your head.
Use your head.
Yeah. Michael, just one sentence.
NLC, you're doing your job, and of course we won't stop you from why the body was created and empowered by the law. So but then get to a point where you resist those people that are using your face to deceive Nigerians. That those leaders that goes to meetings with government, at the end of the day they come out telling you know what to do. So when we do that, when the federal government knows that you guys are standing on your opinion as strong, that's when they will take you serious. But if you keep on doing all of those things, the federal government will know that they can always call you at any time.
All right, enough is enough of hanky-panky. The hanky-panky game should be over. Thank you very much for staying with us and have a wonderful day ahead of you. It's been Ramsey, Rachel, and Michael. Bye-bye for now.